Alright, let's pick up where we left off.
His bosom should heave,
and his heart should glow,
and his fist be ever ready for a knockdown blow.
On second thought, let's not. Worf takes advantage of Data's distraction to latch the ships together and eventually to climb aboard and use a special tricorder to knock Data out. With this, they can now beam down to the Baku village where a group hacky-sack game is underway.
They have incredible mental discipline.
Yeah. Let's hear from Mike Brady and get this over with, okay?
But I would ask you to disarm yourselves. This village is a sanctuary of life.
Yeah, my fist is an instrument of shut the hell up. And if you want to find out, just keep talking. It's ever ready for a knockdown blow. These three are just saturated with moral superiority and condescension. It hits its zenith when the one on the right says they tried unsuccessfully to fix Data's positronic net.
I think the captain finds it hard to believe that we'd have any skills repairing a positronic device.
Oh, come on. You people have been out here living in dirt and your own feces for forever. You're just going to pick up and repair the most sophisticated device in the history of everything because you used to do this shit centuries ago? If you don't use it, sooner or later, you will lose it. There's a reason that phrase exists. But no. The Baku can because of that super mental discipline of theirs. They're so absolutely perfect that they can still fully understand skills they haven't used in centuries. And not because they couldn't, but because they have wisely chosen not to. Because smug ahead full.
We believe that when you create a machine to do the work of a man, you take something away from the man.
It's very hard to tear this apart because while they say this sanctimonious line, they actually don't say anything. What is it that it takes away? Something. Well, what's something? Just something, okay? Because of its nebulousness, you could say this about anything. We believe that if you deny a man the right to beat his wife, you take something away from the man. The obvious intent, of course, is to praise that rural simplicity and the rejection of technology as a superior way of life. Now, if you believe this kind of thing, that's up to you, though I wonder if you shun technology how you might be listening to me right now. But the burr up my ass when it comes to the Baku is that we are constantly told that this is paradise. The tagline even describes this film as the battle for paradise. You know what these people are? They're elves. We're smarter, in tune with nature, have greater gifts, live forever, and are white. We're just all around better than you are in every conceivable way. Yeah, piss off back to your tree and make me some cookies. Picard returns to the Enterprise and reports in to the Admiral, who is pleased and tells him to get the hell out of there.
Now pack your bags and get the hell out of there.
Told you. Speaking of get the hell out of there, it's time for Riker to drop by Troy's quarters. They felt the need to sex up this film. Piller makes note especially that Patrick Stewart felt very strongly about that, and I for one am not surprised.
But I wonder if you could give it to anyone you know, in
Yes.
film or TV.
Is there any nudity in it?
Any
nudity in it?
Not really.
Oh.
Well, it could be.
Men or women?
Either. Well, just women.
Right.
But instead of hooking up with Beverly like he's supposed to be if everyone's convinced there was this grand plan for a romance between them, we instead have Picard hooking up with one of the elves. Few people could care about that, so we have the alternate plan of hooking up Troy and Riker. Worf's out of the picture there because by this time on DS9 he's already been married and, well, let's just say that looking for love is not something foremost on Worf's mind at the moment. These two then have to ratchet up the sexual energy to make up for it.
Do you think it's possible for two people to go back in time, fix a mistake they've made?
Not unless you want to get eaten by demon bats. Back in the land of plot-relevant info, Geordi confirms that Data's malfunction occurred because he was shot by a sonar weapon, and so his system defaulted to the state of total ethics, so that all he could do was tell right from wrong. You know, like shooting at Picard's shuttle without provocation. Did I ever tell you about when I wrote ethical subroutines for Dr. Sung? Data was good, but, lore, he was my masterpiece. This also means that according to carefully calculated subroutines, everything our heroes are going to be doing is the only moral and ethical choice for this movie. Always nice to be told that so we don't have to bother thinking for ourselves. Data's last memory was going into the hills to observe the children playing, so he cut to them, playing with their little CGI bulldog mouse. He leads them down to the lake, where suddenly Data no longer needs to breathe and also has the ability to float. Wow, when Geordi said they were going to reboot Data, I assumed they meant his software, not Data as a character. He finds evidence of a cloaked ship, which they go to investigate. The elven fundamentalist won't let his son near it, but that's not stopping this lady.
I think it will be wiser.
I'm going with you.
Yeah, just take a seat anywhere, Your Highness. Inside they find a holographic recreation of the Baku village, and realize they're planning to pull the Sorvino switch, named after Paul Sorvino, whose character in Homeward saved some people from a dying world using the holodeck. Apparently it gave the Federation the idea to try this out on the Baku. They're attacked by a Sona guard, so Picard throws her out of the ship, and they quickly gun him down. However... And I thought the water always rejected the body of a witch. Upset at this turn, Picard and Data return, only to discover the latest consequences for poor Worf. He's already overslept. Now he's got a huge pimple. He'll have rapid hair growth. Don't worry, it's Star Trek comedy at work. Everyone point and laugh at the freak. Oh, why didn't I eat you when I was a monster? Oh, Riker's beard? I guess Troy didn't like it, so he let her shave it off with a straight razor. That's courting disaster. That's like letting Laurel and Hardy give you a bikini wax. Picard has other things on his mind, though.
Music.
No, not that. Something Latin.
Picard has finally figured out the fountain of youth aspects of the story, so he visits the Baku, and they explain that their technophobia is because technology created weapons of mass destruction. Well, yeah, not too many other ways to get them. We also reject turnips after the growing of the turnip of mass destruction. Would you let it go already? No turnips, never again. I never meant for it to happen. God damn you! Turnips were never meant to do that. I know. I'm sorry. You see, the Baku aren't native to this world. They settled here, and for over 300 years they've enjoyed perpetual youth. That's probably why Starfleet and the Sona want to relocate them, so Picard will see about finding a way to stop them. He spends some time talking with designated love interest, again perpetuating this backwards idea that once you have technology and eternal youth, you now have a recipe for a slow pace of life where every moment can be enjoyed. When you eliminate technology, you eliminate the means to accomplish things quickly, to have time to enjoy those moments. Children gaily playing in the fields? Children are necessary in a society like this to start work at young ages. 30 years apprenticing to learn how to properly weave like a master craftsman? Well, that does make sense if you have to do everything in your life by hand, so that, if you're lucky, maybe you can squeeze an hour or two in a month. There's a concept in psychiatry, I'm not certain if it has a name, where when we have problems we assume it's one of location, that the cause of them all has to do with my location, my situation, and if I were somewhere else, then my problems would just be gone. This leads some people to then run away from their lives, abandoning family, quitting their jobs, just saying, that's it, I'm leaving, and assuming it'll all be better. Now, sometimes this can work if the location is the problem, but a lot of the times it isn't. It's just the scapegoat. I'm unhappy, therefore it must be because of where I am. But when you start looking at the person's life and see, the wife is loving and supportive, the children kind and caring, the job isn't very stressful, and there's no excessive financial pressures. The problem isn't the situation, it's the person himself that has the problem. And when he leaves, he brings it all with him, so that he has all the same problems, plus all these new ones. This is part of the reason we have this fallacy of rural simplicity, not just here, but in other works. This belief that if we were somewhere else, we wouldn't have these problems. The idea if the big city is where I feel this way, being close to nature will make me feel the opposite. Sure, being there for a break might work for you, but the whole point is that it's a break from your normal routine. When it becomes your routine, you have the same problems in entirely new forms. Most problems can't be escaped, so instead of wasting time wishing you could, far better to spend your time finding out how to keep them from coming around in the first place. Most people have far more controls over their lives than they think. Geordi's here appreciating something new, watching a sunrise through human eyes. The special properties here that have caused de-aging also caused this to happen. Now, please stop and look at this scene for a moment with your own eyes. The planet's properties can cause Geordi to grow new eyes, but can't cause Picard to grow hair. Now that's one stubborn scalp. The Admiral and Ruafu show up, and things go badly when Picard reveals his knowledge of the holoship.
Ruafu, why don't you let the captain and me...
No!
You, want a tissue there? Note to the kitchen, I'll pass on the fries with ketchup, suddenly not in the mood. He salvages what dignity you can when you've just squirted all over someone's rug and leaves with a threat. By the way, we're almost halfway through the movie, and he's barely done anything. He's probably one of the least impressive villains the films have produced till now. Picard threatens Dougherty with going over his head to the Federation Council, but it turns out they ordered this.
How can there be an order to abandon the Prime Directive?
But the Admiral points out, and we discussed this, the Prime Directive only applies in 2 instances: interfering in the affairs of pre-warp species and interfering in purely internal matters, neither of which applies here, as far as we know. As upset as he might be about the situation, the Prime Directive doesn't protect these people. Now, you want to argue the plain old morality of the situation, Picard? Fine. Let me spool up the next video, because there is so much to talk about.